In today's episode, I'm with Dave from Vanlife Customs, Dave Walsh. He's the founder, and what's your title at Vanlife Customs? I don't even know.
I guess I'm like the CEO at this point. We have a team of 15 folks down in the Denver area, 21,000 square foot shop. We build about 5 vans at a time, and we love what we do.
This is a tabletop version of Vanlife Saga, and the reason why we're doing this is because a lot of people just told us, we wish we had more time to listen to what you have to say, because, you know, the edits are super fast. They're like, ba, 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 music, ba, 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 music. And the concept today is very simple. We're just going to ask Google what are the 10 most asked questions on Vanlife, and you have to answer them. I'm just going to start a question about Vanlife, and Google is going to tell me what you guys usually Google on your own computers.
My name is Dom. I am a Canadian content creator and Vanlifer since 2017. Recently, I've teamed up with a bunch of friends to start a mobile production team. We call ourselves the Cavalry of the Shadows. Our goal? Share all our tricks and tips on how we live and work from the road aboard our full-fledged autonomous production unit. So buckle up if you are down for a couple of Vanlife tips and epic behind the scenes with the people that we meet on the roads of North America.
First question, is Vanlife safe? Dave?
Well, yeah, Vanlife is safe. I think a lot of what you hear about the bad experiences of people knocking on windows or breaking into vans are fringe experiences. You know, they're not mainstream. There's ways to travel safely in your van, to sleep in appropriate places where it's allowed, so people aren't knocking on your door saying, please get out of here. There's if you have community around you, and being with community is always a great option. I do know that traveling down out of the country into, say, Mexico or Baja, you should be a little bit more aware of what's going on down there with, say, the cartels and things like that. Plan before you go. You know, van life is like any other life. You need to plan and be responsible with what you're doing. My experience is anytime that I've driven down through Baja is that you're just going to have a couple extra beers to share with the locals, police and things like that. And
having gifts and stuff on you that you can share, even fun stuff or weird stuff like maple syrup or just candies or whatever. Yeah. If you give that to officers or park rangers, they're super happy.
Yeah, actually, that's a great idea.
Is Vanlife legal, Dave? Is Vanlife legal? We get this question a lot, and we're like, well, there's thousands of people doing it, and it has to be legal somewhere, you know.
I think my understanding is that certain cities or townships have ordinances about sleeping in a vehicle, right? So it's definitely hard to find that information as you're traveling around. Trying to talk to locals is a good thing. To keep it on like the legal question and stay focused on that, my understanding is it's not illegal, but you should talk to your lawyer.
Or your police department. And surprisingly enough, especially in Quebec here, I don't know what the relationship with police corps are, police corps, groups, teams, institute, police in general.
The police.
Here, usually police people are very friendly and open. And sometimes you just have to ask them. You know, when they're patrolling at night?
Yeah.
Hey, are we allowed to be here?
Yeah.
And just because you ask, they might say, yeah, it's fine for tonight.
Yeah.
If you're just parking there and you're imposing your 23-foot-long truck, this is where things get weird, because what's going to happen in most scenarios where other people are around is people are going to call the police. Van life itself is not illegal, but it leads quickly to illegal activities and small stuff. Like, I heard patrollers were looking around vans for people just throwing away garbage or peeing.
Oh, yeah.
And this is how they're like, guys, you need to leave. If you're keeping it clean and quiet and respectful, there's usually no problem with legal stuff.
That's the big thing, is being self-contained.
Yeah.
Keep your mess to yourself. That's important. You know, even there's a lot of places, you know, if you're up here where obviously in Canada right now. If you're up here and it rains a lot and you go pee in a bush, that washes away. But if you're in like the Southwest where it doesn't rain much and you're peeing on the side of a parking lot, that pee is going to be there for a while and stink for the next people that park. So yeah, maybe get your pee bottle going and save that for when you run into a rest stop and pour it in a toilet.
Hey, next question, Dave.
Carry on.
I like that one. Is Vanlife over? And we have a synonym down there. Is Vanlife dead? We're having coffee. This is the first time we do that we do this in the morning. So that's why Dave is a barista now.
Coffee. Vanlife is not over. People are still doing Vanlife, interested in becoming more into Vanlife or starting Vanlife. What we're seeing is that the media is no longer excited by it.
Yeah,
right?
It's not like the new hot thing that it was a couple of months ago.
A couple of years ago at this point. I mean, 2 years ago, we were in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. We were getting calls from Netflix to do series on van builds and things like that. And now it's like,
whatever.
That's old hat. Like, we're not... Whatever, we've seen the van life, we've seen all the articles, and that's fine, because I think it takes a little bit of the pressure off of the community of van life who's out there doing it right, and keeping them from doing illegal things and keeping them from getting in trouble with folks.
So you're saying the trend is kind of slow. The trend is slowing down.
The trend is slowing down from a business standpoint, if we want to get into that. The whole RV market has slowed this year with the rate hikes. Folks that were borrowing money to build or to buy a van, they've stepped back. They're kind of keeping an eye on the market and on, if they're retired or something like that, or investments, they're watching their portfolio and wondering, gosh, can I afford this? Is this the right spend for my money? We are still seeing that, like the high-end vans like we build over at Vanlife Customs, those customers, they are in it. They want to do it, and they know they have the funds to do it, and we're happy to build for them. It's cool that way. We're not in a situation where we're building repeat vans to try to hit like the budget price for us. We get to build cool, interesting projects now. So to answer your question directly, no, Vanlife is not over.
It's not over.
It's just not mainstream now. It's not sexy and exciting for your average person in the middle of the country looking online and living vicariously through them.
Yeah.
Now they're just watching influencers do silly dances on TikTok.
Is Vanlife expensive, Dave? This is the next question.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay, tell me about
there's cheaper ways to travel and live. I'll say that. There's cheaper ways to travel and live. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it's going to cost you something. It's either going to cost you time, right? Or it's going to cost you money. There you go. Because when we build a van at Vanlife Customs, there's at least 300 man hours that goes into it. To just build the van, never mind the planning and design and all of the other stuff that goes on. And that's a lot of time. That's you spending your whole summer building a van to go.
Yeah, it's the summer. It's 3 months.
And then digging and finding what material should I use, and are these the right handles, and what color, things like that. Yeah, you can do it on the cheap. You can get used materials. You can do reclaimed wood. You can build the whole dang thing out of pallets if you want. Or you can spend $300,000 US on it as well. The cost of the chassis has gone up so much. Even a used chassis, with inflation. If you're looking at it, I talk to a lot of folks about this when we have our first conversation with them about building a van, and it's like, well, if you're buying a brand new van from, say, Mercedes Sprinter, by the time you get that thing off the lot, you're $80,000 into just the van. US, $80,000, right? And then you register and insure that sucker. And man, just owning the empty van is expensive. And then we're going to put another $150,000 to $200,000 into that van. It's going to have every single option you could possibly imagine. You can also do it phased if you wanted to, to save money. But I would say, in general, is Vanlife expensive? It's as expensive as you are going to make it. You can make Vanlife fit your budget. If your budget is, I can't buy a beat up Econoline, then, Vanlife may not be, right? I would tell people that don't think that moving into a van is going to save you money.
That's one of the biggest myths.
That will not. No, you're putting gas in it. You're repairing it.
Yeah, and it surprises people when we talk budget like this, because they're like, oh, he's living in a van part-time, so how much are you saving? And every time I get the question, I'm like, well, I'm not saving much.
No.
Compared to a condo fee. Well, depending on how much you travel, when I went to see you last time, the gas was pretty much the condo fee.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Well, you got gas, and then unless you're being really frugal and you're going grocery shopping and buying groceries and cooking and prepping your meals in your van, otherwise, you're coming through a town and you're spending money at the local stores and you're spending money at restaurants and things like that. And don't get me wrong, these towns appreciate that. If you're going to travel through a town, spend some money there. Set that good example of like, this is what the van life people are doing. We're here to enjoy these places we're in, and we want to participate in your community, and whether that's economically or through just being a friendly face. So it can be cheap. It's not going to be. It's not going to be.
It's Vanlife Sustainable. How do you make a living off the road?
Okay.
On the road, sorry.
Yeah. How do you make a living?
I think I figured.
Tell me.
I think I figured it out, Dave. You want to find the perfect balance between experiencing or making the most out of your van and working. What we experienced in the West the first time we left in 2020 is we had to stall for connection issues, battery issues, food issues, logistics issues, connection issues with the phones and etc. And at some point we're like, okay, we're in a van in Tofino, British Columbia, and we're not on the beach, we're not surfing, we're not having fun with friends because we're on our computers looking for network. So it's feasible, it's sustainable, because if you have a remote job, you can just hunt for network all day. But it's probably not going to be as fun as you think. So now some people are going to say, well, there's Starlink now. I don't know if Starlink is helping out you being sustainable and experiencing van life at the best, because Starlink is going to give you a very fast connection and it's going to push you to work even more. So it's like,
it's funny that you're talking about that. We have a customer that we put Starlink on his van for him. And he said it was the worst thing that we did for him, because he just said, it's too easy to sit down and not unplug and do stuff and stay connected. And that's what you've got to decide as you move into van life. Am I doing this as a lifestyle and going to figure out how to separate work and play? It's tough, and I get it. Like our phones, all these things, they're just designed to distract us and keep us hooked. And then in the back of your head, that little thing's going, hey, did you check your email today?
Hey, there's connection in the van. You should do something.
We have service.
I think that was the biggest downside, regarding sustainability and working on the road. The fact that we were able to work on the road with remote jobs, it took away all the fun of van life that I thought I would have.
You got to ask yourself: is this a vacation or is this my life? And then figure out how to frame that and put that together. And it's the same thing that you're going to do wherever you live. How do I balance my work and play? And it's a little trickier in the van when you're like, oh, there's kind of nothing to do right now, so I guess I'm going to do some work.
You can figure it out. It's just you're gonna before a van life experience plan, you're gonna need a serious business plan, and this is usually where people just skip the thing and they think everything's gonna be all right. Okay. I think you get this a lot, and you always have the same answer. But how many amp hours do I need in my van, Dave?
Do you know what my favorite answer is? It depends. It depends. All right. I will say the average amount of amp hours that we're putting in a van right now is about 400 amp hours.
Yes.
And here in not here, but in Colorado where we are, we try to get like 1 watt of solar to 1 amp hour. And then assume that you're going to run your vehicle for a half hour to an hour every day while you're driving around checking things out. And then we'll scale it up from there. My advice, because you don't know how many amp hours you need, give yourself room to expand. You know, if we build in that battery box, tuck everything in, and you're looking for that little nook next to it, well, that nook should be a spot where you can add another battery for more amp hours. So,
you know what? You know, those questions are so precise. We should rapid fire them.
oh yeah,
Like,
ready, go.
we're going to rapid fire the 10 most technical questions, or the 10 most asked technical questions on van life.
Yes.
Okay? So first, van life, how to keep cool. Go.
Vent fans are great. They're the cheap version of it. Sometimes we hang wet cloths in front of the vent fan because then it works like a poor man's air conditioner. There's little air conditioning units that you can plug into your van. They use a lot of power though. You can do a rooftop air conditioner. You can also park in the shade. One of the best parts of van life is you can go other places. So go where it's cool.
Second question, van life, how do you get your mail? Go.
There's actually services out there now where you get a virtual PO box.
Yeah.
Your mail is sent to that PO box, and then they basically, I think they take a picture of it, and then you can tell them, hey, please open it and scan it and send it to me. Packages, there's general delivery at most post offices. This is something that we learned when we were hiking the Pacific Crest Trail way back in the day, that you can have packages delivered to a post office, attention, blah, 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 general PO. Check with the USPS on what's appropriate for the area you're going. Trading.
Next question, van life, how to shower. Go.
Well, you cannot shower. That's always an option. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like that
A lot
one.
of friends that way.
I'm a very good
Well, how
that
long? I've been here for 4 days and haven't showered, and we're not even doing van life. Maybe it's just something about my hygiene.
But you know what? Pause. I almost got into a serious debate last year on YouTube, and we were talking about van life hygiene, blah, blah. And by the way, you are not supposed to shower 2 times in a day. No. You're not supposed to shower every day either. No, your body needs to work a little.
We have good things on our skin. Leave them on it.
Just try it out. Just shower like every 2 or 3 days, and you'll see your body will adapt.
Your hair will be better. Look at Dom's hair.
Yeah, look at my hair.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I might not be the best example of not showering, but you don't need everyday showers.
All right, wait, our timer's running. So,
60 seconds left.
Showering in van life. Well, there's a couple options. You can haul your water and shower off the backside of the van, just like an outdoor shower, which is great until you're in that Cracker Barrel parking lot, and that's not the place to take your shower. Or you can do an interior shower, but that's a lot of space in your van that you're giving up.
Yeah.
Also, when you're showering in your van, you're hauling a lot of water, and that's extra weight. Your fuel mileage is going down. You really have to weigh what you're doing here. The other option is the gym.
Yeah, I like the gym option.
Planet Fitness, I think, has locations everywhere.
Yep.
I mean, hey guys, boom, sponsorship moment here.
I'll make the logo jump in the screen. Oh, van life, how do you start? Go.
How do you start? With a plan, like everything. Make a plan. It took me probably 6 months to transition from living in an apartment in Boulder to traveling in a van. I built my van while I was on the road, which is a little crazy, but I was running kind of like a little handyman help business. So when I would travel to different places, if I knew people in the place, I would let them know, hey, I'm going to be in your area. Let me know if you need any work done or anything like that. Here's my rates. So I was building my van on the road too. Just form a plan, form a budget, write it down.
The budget is probably the most important part.
And I recently read an article about project management and planning where we all always underestimate how long it's going to take stuff. So if you're like, yeah, it's probably going to take me a month to build the interior, give yourself 2.
For the last question of the day, well, Jesus, drink some coffee for the last question of the day.
I love this.
Is van life worth it? Like, you're looking back at the years you've invested in that lifestyle. Would you change anything, or do you think you would do something different?
No, I wouldn't. I think my time living in a van and traveling in a van really shaped who I was. There's I traveled alone in my van, so that ability to like sit and be with yourself when we're so used to having everybody around us, you know, to really like feel bored at times too, and to have to put yourself out there and get to know new people in a community, in order to not feel lonely. We're in a place, and to get to know a cool place, like, you know, you visit a town, and if you put yourself out there and you're like, hey, I'm traveling through, and, you know, what do the locals think about this place, and do that, and what's some inside information. People love sharing that information, they really do. Also, like, I learned a lot about society. Like, people like helping. You know, in general, most people are friendly and they want to help you. You know, so like we talked about, like asking the local authorities or somebody, like say you meet a barista, you know, grabbing a coffee, and you're like, hey, I'm traveling in a van. Is there a good place to sleep around here where I'm not going to bother anybody? You never know. You might just be sleeping in their driveway, you know, and have a bathroom in the morning. So, is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. You know. Is anything worth it? Let's get deep, you know? I don't think it's the right mindset to think that living in a van is going to fix things, right?
Nope.
The things need to be fixed before you go living in a van, or you're just going to be doing it alone in a van. So that was the thing to understand there, for sure. It helped me, but yeah, I don't think buying a van is going to like solve your problems. An interesting thing to bring up is that the van life has become aspirational, right? People aspire to live in a van, which is pretty rad, actually, now you think about it. Yeah. You know, but the fact that like it's an aspirational thing, and you're like, I want to live in a van. The influencer lifestyle that you see is not always the real life of living in a van.
I'm doing my best to make it look as real as possible, by the way.
No, it's true. Yeah. I think you post some good real moments there, right? But it's not all fun and games.
No.
You know, it's man, we have a flat tire on the side of the road.
All right, well, thanks for your answers, man.
Thanks, this is great.
That was Dave from Vanlife Customs. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Tom.
Thanks for coming to Canada.
Thanks for hosting me.
A lot of people are just giving up on Canada.
Can I give a shout out to Bromont? Bromont.
Yeah, if you can pronounce the town's name properly, go. 3, 2, 1.
Bromont. No, Bromont.
Bromont.
Are we gonna do a French lesson?
The French lesson today is gonna be about ours.
Bromont.
French lesson number 5. Le son en R. The French R sound. This French lesson sounds easy, but it's actually very hard. You have to use parts of your throat that you rarely use for speaking in English. For example, the English R is when you swallow. You use your tongue. It's like rapid rabbit. As in the French R, you will need to use the sound that you do when you snore or when you spit, like this. Exhale some air just enough to make the back of your tongue vibrate. So if you want to practice, just say ornithorynque 10 times. Ornithorynque, 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 ornithorynque. You will get better with time.
I'll be free as a bird. Walmart parking